Good morning. My name is Ilana, and this is the INC Capital channel, where we talk about citizenship and residency by investment with our clients. So today I have the pleasure of meeting with Marcello Cavalcanti in their beautiful offices in the Expo area in Lisbon. Marcello, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Would you mind telling us just a little bit about your background, the reasons why you ended up in this industry?
Absolutely. So my background is banking. I did 20 years of banking before moving into the Web3 blockchain space. I fell in love with it around 2016 and never looked back, basically been working on that since then. And we launched one of the first funds in Portugal that invest in digital assets, and has been very successful. And we hope that we add a lot of value to investors, and hope to explain a little bit about it today.
Absolutely, thank you. So I think it's important to remember that when you make a Golden Visa investment in Portugal, 60% of the capital that is raised by the fund has to be invested in Portuguese companies, and the other 40% can be invested globally. And there's a multitude of different funds available. And for me, the conversations with Marcello is always particularly interesting, because I don't know much about crypto. I admit that. I'm a little bit behind the curve there. So Marcello has over the years been trying to educate me and kind of getting me on board on that side. So tell us a little bit more about how you manage that exposure. So maybe first on what is the 60% in Portugal invested in, and how do you manage the digital exposure?
Sure. As you all said, 60% needs to be in Portuguese assets. In our case, we put on the fund regulation that it needs to be Portuguese corporate bonds, because the other side is digital assets, which are a bit more volatile. Mm-hmm. So to counterbalance, we have Portugal has the PSI 20, which is large Portuguese corporates, and they issue bonds. We buy those bonds, and that makes between 60 to 65% of the portfolio. And that gives an anchoring to the return of the fund. And
because that gives you a fairly certain yield, because you know exactly what you're buying into.
Correct. And then with that, we can use a little bit of what is left to, depending on our view, of course, invest in a Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana, which are the three digital assets that the fund can invest on, depending on what's our view. So
you've restricted yourself in the
large assets.
Yes. Okay. But what's the exposure at the moment? Are you investing in Ethereum and Solana, or is it all in Bitcoin?
So currently it's all in Bitcoin, because me and the team, the view is that there is a lot of adoption coming through. There are some laws that are about to come into the US that will allow banks to sell directly to retail investors, and that's going to bring a new wave of adoption. And the entry door is always Bitcoin. And because of that, we think short-term, and we say short-term because there's a 5-year investment. We look at 18 to 24 months. We don't do short-term investments, but we look at the horizon 18 to 24 months, and we think Bitcoin is the one that's going to deliver the returns for the investors.
Okay, what is the actual mechanism that you use? Do you invest through an exchange? Do you invest directly you just buy Bitcoin?
So we can do both. We can do it either directly via Bitcoin and have an institutional custody, or through ETFs. We decided to go through the route of ETFs. Investors understand better. It's extremely liquid. The ETF we use, which is the iShare one, has $80 billion under management, $3 billion of daily liquidity. So it's extremely liquid and easy to manage.
That's important, because people do want to know ultimately that their capital is safe, and that they have access to it when they want it.
In our fund, a lot of investors, they're first-time investors in crypto, so they don't understand how digital wallet works and so on. So it gives them much more comfort to say, look, we invest in ETF, like you have your S&P ETF, your NASDAQ ETF. It's an ETF that basically replicates the Bitcoin. So, okay, I get that. And then with that, we can go on and discuss about the strategy, what's the potential returns and how the portfolio will work out.
So you do a little bit of education when you have conversations with clients. I guess many of your clients must be my age, not necessarily people that kind of grew up with digital assets being a thing.
Well, but you come from an emerging market country like me, and you're highly educated financially, I'm sure. And it is new for everybody, and everyone has a different speed of learning, and it is a steep learning curve. So we try to make it as easy as possible by using simple instruments, the bonds and the ETFs. Yes. And then we run with the investors what are the main scenarios, and they get comfortable very quickly. And we have some investors in the funds which are first-time buyers of digital assets because of that.
Okay. Do you find that any of them afterwards come back and say, can you help me purchase more of this? or not? Or not
Yeah,
really?
well, look, investors should have between 2 and 5% in digital assets, according to Fidelity and the large asset managers.
Yeah.
So some of them, we are in talks of. They said, look, I want to increase my exposure now that I have done my Golden Visa. Can you help me out? And we have 2 investors in the case that we're doing a little educational sessions with them, so they can actually do digital assets investments.
That's interesting, because we often get these inquiries from clients once they've made their Golden Visa investment. They're actually looking for other ways to, in most cases, get their capital out of the US and invest it somewhere else.
Exactly.
So maybe on that point of the US, where's the majority of your clients coming from?
That's a good question. So 50% of the investors are Americans.
Okay.
Then 1/3 approximately are from Central Europe or Turkish, and then everybody else mix of Chinese and Asians. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So not a particular nationality. No. What's interesting, though, you mentioned before we started that that your fund, because clients go, remember that when you start this process, in some cases, some funds will allow you to transfer your funds directly into the fund's custodian account, so that we can open your bank account later. It just makes the process a little bit faster. But sometimes our clients get stuck on the currency conversion, etc. But you just mentioned that your fund has both accounts. It has a dollar account and a euro account.
That's correct. We have a custody account, so investors don't need to open a bank account to start with. They can transfer directly to the fund, and can even transfer in dollars, and then our custodian bank is going to do the conversion for them into euros to invest in the fund.
Okay, and they get preferential rates, because it's quite expensive if your own retail bank makes these currency transfers.
Yes, so the rate is 0.20, which for FX retail, it's an excellent rate. My background, by the way, is FX sales.
Okay, all right. So you're the guy that has the conversations with the bank.
I know when it is a good rate. So, and if the bank doesn't provide a good rate, we'll make sure that they get the right rate.
Excellent, amazing. Thank you so much, Marcello. That is very interesting. I think if any of our clients, if you're interested in having a conversation with Marcello, if you want to talk about the Golden Visa, do drop a note in the content below. We'll have some links for you to do a little bit more research. And I look forward to your comments. Do like and subscribe, and go on this crypto education journey with me. Thanks, Marcello.
Thank you for having me, Ilana.
Thank you.
Thank you.